It's hard to be perfect these days. Even for cars, that's a far more difficult objective to achieve. Yes, even for some highly rated cars that applies. Even with how good they are, there are certain aspects where they just fall off, such as having thirsty engines. Hello everyone, this is Scott from CarlandTV. It's time to get in the front seat as today I'm going to introduce you to some highly acclaimed cars with sloppy fuel economy. Now, despite that, should you really avoid them? Stick around so that you'll know my take. Before I start, I would really appreciate it if you would push those buttons below, the subscribe button, the notification bell, all of them. This is not necessary, but those little clicks help a brother out. Plus, it pushes me to give you more valuable car-related content on your screen. Now buckle up and let's get back to the video. Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk, 2018 to 2021. The Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk is one of the wildest, most absurdly fun SUVs to ever hit American roads. Apparently, it's also the most powerful SUV Jeep ever built. It has the attitude of a muscle car stuffed into the body of a family SUV, and the result is a 5,300-plus pound machine that'll smoke most sports cars off the line. But here's the catch. All that awesomeness comes with a serious gas bill. And that's no surprise once you get to know what this thing is packing. At the center of it all is a supercharged 6.2-liter Hemi V8 that pushes out 707 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 645 pound-feet of torque at 4,800 RPM. This is the same engine you'll find in the Hellcat Charger and Challenger, and in the Trackhawk, it sends power through an 8-speed automatic to a full-time quadra-track active on-demand all-wheel drive system. The supercharger itself is an Eaton twin-screw unit that pumps out about 11.6 pounds per square inch of boost, shoving massive amounts of air into the engine. That kind of airflow demands a rich fuel mixture to avoid detonation, which is great for power but awful for fuel economy. With all that output, the Trackhawk launches from 0 to 60 in about 3.5 seconds, which is insane for something this big. But it's that size that really works against it when it comes to its MPG. As far as I know, this thing is around 5,356 pounds curb weight. Well, the added pounds didn't just come from thin air. The chassis is reinforced to handle the power, the driveline is beefed up, and the brakes are massive Brembo 6-piston front and 4-piston rear units. Even the drive shaft and axles are Hellcat grade. All of that adds up to a lot of mass, and moving that mass takes serious energy, especially under hard acceleration or during highway cruising. The aerodynamics don't do it any favors either. The Trackhawk's drag coefficient sits around 0.37, which is decent for a brick-shaped SUV but still creates plenty of resistance at higher speeds. Combine that with the all-wheel drive system constantly driving all four wheels, even when you're just cruising, and you've got a drivetrain that's always creating friction and rotating heavy components. That adds parasitic loss, which means the engine is constantly working harder than it would in a rear-wheel drive setup. The EPA rates it at 13 miles per gallon combined, but real-world numbers don't usually look any better, especially if you're dipping into the throttle to hear that supercharger whine. There's no cylinder deactivation, no hybrid assistance, no fuel-saving tech at all. It's a raw, old-school formula that prioritizes speed, sound, and performance above everything else. I like the Trackhawk, but personally, this is not worth your cash, especially in the context of saving money on fuel. Toyota Land Cruiser J200 Series, 2008 to 2021. The Toyota Land Cruiser J200 is something I can refer to as an absolute unit. It's one of the most overbuilt, go-anywhere rigs you'll ever drive that is made by Toyota, and that's exactly what makes it awesome. But on the flip side, gas savings is not its strong suit. Of course, it's not a secret why this is the case. Under the hood, it's rocking a 5.7-liter naturally aspirated V8, the kind of old-school, big-displacement motor that doesn't care about hybrid trends or cylinder deactivation. It cranks out 381 horsepower and 401 pound-foot of torque, and it's tuned more for torque and smoothness than outright speed. Hooked up to a 6-speed automatic and full-time 4-wheel drive, the setup is bulletproof. You can feel it. It just wants to pull, whether you're towing, crawling through the mountains, or pounding down the highway with a roof box and a couple of dirt bikes strapped on the back. Now, here are the reasons why it gets thirsty. The J200 weighs in at around 5,765 pounds, which is a lot of truck to haul around, even for that V8. Toyota built it on a body-on-frame chassis, like a proper old-school SUV, so you've got all that reinforced steel underneath. Great for off-roading and longevity, but not so great for efficiency. And aerodynamically? Well, just forget about it. This thing has the profile of a refrigerator. That flat front end, upright windshield, and high roofline all create drag that makes the engine work overtime at highway speeds. Again, the four-wheel drive is full-time and comes with a locking center diff and a low-range transfer case, which is great stuff for serious trails, deep sand, snow, or even towing out your buddy's stuck pickup. But even when you're just running errands, the drivetrain is always sending power to all four corners, and that mechanical drag eats up fuel. Similar to all of the cars here, this one doesn't come with an eco mode or hybrid setup. It's all mechanical all the time. So yeah, the EPA rates this thing at 13 miles per gallon in the city and 17 miles per gallon on the highway. And from what I've seen, that's generous. You drive it like a truck and you'll be filling up more often than you'd like. But honestly, that's not the kind of thing people cross-shop the Land Cruiser for. You buy one of these because you want something that can cross continents, survive a nuclear winter, and still be running at 300,000 miles with just oil changes and maybe a new alternator. If that doesn't convince you, then just get the modern Land Cruisers instead. They have more fuel economy on their sleeves. Mercedes AMG G63 G-Wagon, 2019 to 2024. I'll tell you right now, the G63 is a total riot. It's loud, it's fast, and it's even built like a damn tank, and it got more street presence than just about anything else on four wheels. But let's not pretend it's easy on gas. This thing drinks premium like it's happy hour all day long. It's all because of what's under the hood. You've got a hand-built AMG 4-liter twin-turbo V8, which is the same one they throw in the AMG GT and some of the other top-tier Mercedes rockets. But here, it's tuned to make 577 horsepower and 627 pound-feet of torque. The turbos are mounted inside the V, so it spools up fast and punches hard right from the jump. You step on it, and this brick-shaped beast hits 60 in about 4.2 seconds, which feels completely ridiculous for something that weighs over 5,800 pounds. And yeah, weight is a big part of the problem when it comes to its fuel economy. The G-Wagon is built on a body-on-frame setup like an old-school truck, which is great for off-road toughness but adds a ton of bulk. Then throw in all the luxury stuff, such as the massive Brembo-style brakes, sound deadening everywhere, heavy doors that shut like a bank vault, thick leather, wood trim, and a full suite of electronics. And now you've got yourself a heavyweight that moves like a muscle car. That takes a lot of fuel, plain and simple. The shape isn't doing it any favors either. I love how the G63 looks. It hasn't changed much in decades, and that boxy vibe is part of the whole mystique. But from an aero standpoint, it's terrible. You're basically pushing a square down the highway with a drag coefficient of about 0.55. Even full-size pickups do better than that. It's got some tweaks here and there, namely smoother mirrors and a little airflow around the windshield, but you're still punching a hole through the air like a shipping container on wheels. The all-wheel drive system is overkill in the best way. Full-time 4 MATIC with 3 locking diffs, front, center, and rear. That's real-deal off-road hardware, not just the soft rotor kind of AWD you see in most SUVs. It's awesome if you're actually taking it out on a trail or through snow or sand, but even around town, that system's always active. More parts spinning means more resistance, which again, burns more gas. EPA says you're going to see about 13 miles per gallon in the city and 16 on the highway. In the real world, if you're getting anything close to that, you're driving it like a nun. Most folks see closer to single digits when they get into that boost and start enjoying the sound of that AMG V8 belting through the side pipes. But yeah, if you're conscious of fuel consumption, I suggest you go with the likes of the BMW X5 xDrive 50e or Lexus LX 600. They are less awesome than the AMG, but you're going to save gas on them. Chevrolet Camaro ZL1, 2017 to 2024. The Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 is a flat-out monster and one of the most capable street-legal performance cars GM's ever built. But it's also a serious gas guzzler. This thing's savage. It is loud, angry, and brutally fast, and it has the kind of old-school muscle attitude you just don't get from newer turbocharged stuff. Under the hood, Chevy dropped in the LT4, a 6.2-liter supercharged V8 that makes 650 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. Same engine you'll find in the C7 Z06 and the old CTS-V, But in the ZL1, it feels especially raw. That blower on top is an Eaton R1740 TVS, spinning up to 20,000 RPM and cramming in over 9 psi of boost. The engine's all forged internals. It has a steel crank, forged rods, aluminum pistons, as well as a deep-breathing direct injection system. It's built to take a beating, and it does. But it's also got zero interest in saving you money at the pump. No cylinder deactivation, no start-stop tech, no quote-unquote eco modes. It's just a big motor doing what big motors do best. You can get it with a 6-speed Tremec manual or GM's 10-speed automatic, and I've tried both. The 10-speed is a monster. It's actually fast shifting and smooth. But even with all those gears, it doesn't really help with fuel economy. The ratios are stacked for acceleration, especially down low, so it will slam through the first few gears like it's trying to win a drag race every time you crack the throttle. And with a curb weight just north of 3,900 pounds, this thing isn't light either. A lot of that bulk comes from all the track-ready hardware, such as its massive Brembo brakes with 15.35-inch two-piece rotors up front, magnetic ride control, a rear diff cooler, transmission cooler, oil cooler, you name it. It's all there so you can run hot laps without cooking the car. But yeah, that stuff adds weight and drag. The ZL1 rolls on Goodyear Eagle F1 Supercar 3 rubber, 285s up front and 305s in the back. These things are borderline track tires. They stick like glue, which is great when you're carving corners or launching off the line, but they don't help one bit with rolling resistance or highway cruising. Same deal as the Aero. It has a front splitter, a vented hood, and a big rear wing. It looks sick and keeps the car stable at 150+ miles per hour, but all that stuff adds drag and hurts fuel economy. According to the EPA, you're looking at 14 miles per gallon in the city and 20 miles per gallon on highways with the automatic. And let me tell you, if you drive it like it's meant to be driven, which, let's face it, you will, you're probably dipping into single digits around town. Of course, it's not for everyone's pocket, but if you have the bucks, well, this car can rip 0 to 60 in the mid-3s, pull over 1G in corners, and scream through the quarter mile like a factory-built missile. The ZL1 wasn't made to be practical. It was made to make noise, go fast, and leave black marks on the pavement. The gas bill is just part of the trade-off. Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat, 2015 to 2023. I've spent time with a bunch of cars over the years, but the Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat, from the 2015 launch all the way through the 2023 models, is hands down one of the most ridiculous awesome machines you can drive on the street. But let's not kid ourselves here, shall we? It's also one of the thirstiest. And honestly, that's part of the deal. You're not buying a Hellcat for fuel economy. You're buying it because you want to feel like you're driving a rolling middle finger to emission standards. Every one of those Hellcats runs a 6.2-liter supercharged Hemi Phi 8. That's just a monster. We're talking 707 horsepower at launch in 2015, and that eventually bumped up to 717 horsepower in regular trims. Then you got the red-eye and super stock trims, pushing 797 and 807 horses. That power comes from a 2.4-liter IHI twin-screw blower bolted to an iron block with forged internals, including its crank, rods, and pistons, which are all built to take abuse. It has cooling hardware everywhere as well, such as its dual air-to-liquid intercoolers, a high-flow radiator, and oil coolers. This car is built to take repeated 130+ miles per hour pulls without breaking a sweat. And the transmissions? You can go with the bulletproof 8HP 90ZF automatic or the Tremec TR 60606 speed manual if you like to row your own gears. Either way, everything is beefed up. Half shafts, drive shaft, rear diff. Essentially, the SRT Hellcat is all overbuilt to handle the torque. But here's the catch. All that glorious power comes at a serious cost at the pump. The supercharger is a vacuum pump for gas. It crams more air in so you can burn way more fuel, and this engine doesn't mess around. No cylinder deactivation, no hybrid tech, no nonsense. It's firing all 8 cylinders 100% of the time. So even if you're just cruising to work, it's drinking fuel like it's track day. And it doesn't help that the Hellcat weighs over 4,400 pounds, rides on super wide tires, 275s or even 305s on wide-body trims, and pushes a ton of air thanks to its big squared-off body. The gearing isn't exactly friendly either. The final drive and shift points are tuned for acceleration, not economy. So yeah, it's quick as hell, but don't expect to coast your way into good miles per gallon. The EPA says you're looking at 13 miles per gallon in the city and 21 on the highway with the auto and much less with the manual. And trust me, you'll see numbers way lower if you drive it the way it's meant to be driven. But let me be real here, none of that matters if you get what the Hellcat's about. It's not built to be practical. It's built to scare Teslas and make Mustangs second-guess themselves at the stoplight. It's a straight-line brawler with a massive engine, a blower that screams louder than your neighbors, and enough torque to roast tires in third gear. The gas bill is just the price of admission. And if you ask me, it could just be totally worth it for some people.